We're up to the Siman Lamed Beis in the Mechaber Sif Chof Vav. The Mechaber is dealing with the following situation. You have the name of Hashem, the two of the letters are touching each other. So two letters touching each other is a problem. So normally when two letters touch each other, you just scratch out. But it's the name of Hashem. There's an Issa Deraisa of erasing the name of Hashem. So says the Mechaber, Im Oisi Shel Shem Tvukas Yachal Afridam. You're able to scratch it out. Why not? Why are you allowed to? L'chora, it's Mochek Shem Hashem. Erasing the name of Hashem is a terrible avera. So the Mishnah Berurah explains, I'll tell you why you're allowed to. Is the tefillin kosher when the two letters touch each other? The answer is no. Why? Because it has to be surrounded by klaf. So because the tefillin are not kosher, erasing the name of Hashem is not an act of erasing, it's actually an act of fixing. You're fixing your tefillin. But says the Mishnah Berurah says, Hani mili shenidvugu beis ksiva, avol nidvugu la'achar gemara ksiva asla freedom. Let's say it happened afterwards. I don't know how. Let's say it melted, whatever, and the letters touched after it was done writing. So if you remember, this requirement of having gvil around it is only at the time of writing. If it happens afterwards, then it's kosher. If the tefillin are kosher, you can't erase the name of Hashem for no reason. Right in Mechaber in Chav Zayin. Oisius v'tevish shenimchuku ksas. So I'll tell you a ma'isa. I had this case. You have letters that some of the letters started to peel. Now sometimes in older Sefer Torah, the letters start to peel, but they're still there. They're softer, they're fainter. So the question is, can you put ink on top of it and make it bolder? Now if you remember, a Sefer Torah does not need to be written in order. You could do it out of order. Tefillin and mezuzahs have to be written in order, which means if I notice a problem in middle, I can't fix it because that's writing it out of order. So in other words, if the letters are peeling, can I reapply some of the ink? The real shaila is it kosher? If it's kosher, then I could just add it all I want. If it's puzzle, I cannot, because then I'm writing it out of order. So it says the Mechaber, there's still letters there, but it's faint. So here's the halacha. You get a kid who knows how to read, but is not so smart, not so dumb. You get a kid like that to read the words. If he's able to read the words, then it's kosher. If it's kosher, you could put ink on top of it. But the Mishnah Berurah points out something very practical. I'll tell you how it happened. What happens if there's no letters there at all? The letters are completely gone. But there happens to be very old Sefer Torah, when the letters have been there for 60 years and they peel off, it's brown. It's brown because it's stained. There's no ink there, but you could actually read it. That the Mishnah Berurah says is not kosher because there's no more letters there. Even though they actually have a picture of it like this. It looks like there are letters there, but it's puzzle. So when I was in New Hampshire, they had an old Sefer Torah. They asked me to lane. We were laning on Shabbos. It's the only Sefer Torah in the entire city. And I get to the first aliyah I'm reading, and I realize there's no words here. Words are missing. I touch it with my finger, nothing, there's nothing there. You could still read it, clearly, but there's no letters there. So I looked at them and I'm like, we're just going to go weiter, what am I going to do? But it happens to be, the Rambam held you could use Apostle Sefer Torah to lean from whatever, also there's no choice. But anyway, so I just told them, don't give me an aliyah, I don't want brachas, I don't know. But the point is, that's a problem. So that, you cannot rewrite because that's going shaloi kisidron. Let's go a little weiter. What I'm going to do today is more Shulchan Aruch, less Mishnah Berurah. The Mishnah Berurah writes in Chav Ches. Yesh lihizar shelo yikanis rosh halamid ba'avar ahei ayaches afilu b'lei negia. We know that letters can't touch each other. So let's say you have a hey, the bottom of the hey, right? The hay's like this. The lamed is infringing. It's now in the airspace. The Shulchan Aruch says no, don't do that. You shouldn't do that, even though it's technically not touching, but it's in the airspace. The Mishnah Berurah points out the lashon of the Mechaber is yesh lihizar. Yesh lihizar does not say that it's puzzle. It just means yesh lihizar. It means that it's not a problem l'chachila, but diavad it's fine. But the Mishnah Berurah says, let's say the letter is sticking up so much that if I were to block the lamed, just isolate the hay, I wouldn't be able to read it anymore as a hay. I mean, if it's a hay and there's a little bit of a lamed, fine. But if the lamed is mamish in the middle of the hay, I don't know what it looks like. And if I would block the bottom, a child would not be able to know the letter. Then that's a problem. Right to the Mechaber, we'll just finish up this daf. Im eina parshi shkuris bepiv. The The halacha is, when it comes to a Sefer Torah, you have to copy. You have to have it written there when you're writing. Even if you're an expert, Rabbi Yosef knows everything by heart, you still have to write it. Not tefillin. Tefillin, you could technically write it by heart. But says the Shulchan Aruch, if you don't know it well enough, do not write it by heart. Don't wing it. Not a good idea. Then the Mechaber writes in Lamed, in addition, you have to be able to read. I mean, let's say I have a kid who's super talented. He's like perfect at copying. So you give him a tefillin, and he can do it perfectly. It's no good. He has to be able to read. If he can't read the letters, he doesn't know how to read it, he's literally just like a monkey copying. That's also a problem. Lamed Aleph, im eino kosem mitoch haksav. Let's say I don't have it in front of me, but I don't know it well. So one of the options is someone can read it to you. They could say Aleph, you write Aleph, Beis, you write Beis. It says the Mechaber, if you do that, you have to then repeat the word afterwards. It has to be that you say the words afterwards. If you're not reading from Iksav, and you're just having someone say it to you, you have to afterwards say it. I guess that's important to make sure that you did it properly. The Mechaber says, Emeino kol sev mitoch Iksav, lo yichtav al peh shemakra oso acher, el ken yachzarhu v'yikra b'piv. You should repeat it afterwards, b'piv. Mishnah Berurah says, each letter, so to make sure you don't make a mistake. Just relying on someone telling you is not a good idea. Let's just do the last sif of the daf and finish in 1 minute. The Mechaber says, Sarach lahaniach chelik lamayla kedei gaga shalamid. When you're allocating space on the klaf, make sure you not leave enough room that the top of the lamid goes and won't go to the end, that it goes off the page. You got to make sure it has to be surrounded by klaf. So allocate a little bit on top so that the lamed has room. Similarly, shiyugam mukafim gevil ulamata kishir kaf. And the bottom, you should also make sure there's room that the chaf, because it's a long chaf, there should be room on the bottom and the klaf so that it's not going off the page. V'nun pshuto. Upetchilasan besofan ein tzarich le'niach klal. And by the way, in the beginning, tchilasan besofan, which is on the side over here, on the right side, you don't have to leave any space. You could just write, literally start from the beginning of the line. There's no, you don't have to leave a thumb's worth, whatever. The Rama writes, Miyu nogo asofrim, the Ashkenazim, I'm swearing them probably as well. Miyu nogo asofrim, leniach ksas betchila v'sof. The minig is to leave a little bit at the beginning, a little bit at the end. B'tzarech leniach bein kol teva v'teva kamale os. In between each word, you have to leave the size of a letter. You can't just have words go into each other. It has to be the size of a letter in between. And in between each line, you have to leave the space of a line. So if a line is a centimeter, in between each line of words, you have to leave a centimeter. And between each letter, you have to just leave a hair's breadth. They're not touching. And in between parshios, you have to leave a space. I'll stop here.